Okay, good evening. So welcome to our 2016 annual town meeting. I'm Scott McDermott, your town moderator. Once again, I'm honored to be here tonight to help to orchestrate Medfield's annual town meeting. Thank you for being here as well, to be here tonight as a member of Medfield's legislative body, making our laws and determining our budgets. Thank you for being here tonight to undertake the important work of building a great community, and thank you for being here and being part of the continuing heritage that extends all the way back consecutively to 1651. I'm advised by our town clerk that we have a quorum present. Tonight we have 43 articles to address as the legislative body of the town of Medfield. I will now ask our town clerk to read the return of service of the warrant.
By virtue of this warrant, I have notified and warned the inhabitants of the town of Medfield qualified to vote in elections and town meetings by posting attested copies of the same at 5 public places 7 days before the date of the elections as within directed. Constable Ryan Maxfield, dated March 31st, 2016.
Okay, I've invited Steve to lead us in our Pledge of Allegiance. One of the honors of being the moderator is I get to select a different person every year to be able to come up and to lead the town. Many members, Ann Thompson and Richard DeSorger and many others who are in the audience have done this. Steve and I were walking behind Wheelock School, and he mentioned to me one morning that he and his lovely wife Celeste were going to be moving out of Medfield after 28 years. And I said, you got to come and do the Pledge of Allegiance for me, because it lets me be able to bring up 2 words. One of them is the word community, which I happen to believe is our gift, is our differentiator. And the other one is the word volunteerism. And Steve, to me, has embodied both of these very key components in what makes Medfield different. He moved to Medfield in 1988, spent 2 years on the Affordable Housing Committee, 4 years on the Warrant Committee, 8 years on the school committee, 2 as the chair. He was 25 years with the Lions Club. He was the president in 2011. He was on Medfield Youth Baseball's board for a number of years. Was also the president of the board, coach in Little League, coach in Medfield Youth Basketball, involved with the high school field and bleacher fundraising, and a great Medfielder. So thank you. Okay, I have the honor to invite all of our veterans to please stand. Okay, well, thank you. And now if everybody would please stand. Thank you. Everybody can stand. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, liberty. Awesome. Well, thank you. The whole town thanks you and wishes you all the best. We'll be in touch. Okay, man. Thank you. This is what we do every year. And then I say now, and remain standing, for the national anthem, which is going to be sung by Medfield High School junior Laurie Barney.
Oh, say, can you see by the dawn's early light what so proudly we hailed at the twilight's last gleaming, whose broad stripes and bright stars through the perilous fight o'er the ramparts we watched were so gallantly streaming, and the rocket's red glare, the bombs bursting in air, gave proof through the night that our flag was still there. Oh, say does that star-spangled banner yet wave o'er the land
Thank you. Okay, please remain standing, if you would. Please remain standing. Laurie, thank you very much. That was great. She recently starred. She said this is the second biggest performance in the last month. She was the fairy godmother in the Theatre Society's production of Cinderella. And I guess it was great. So we're standing because now we have a moment of silence. Out of appreciation and respect, I ask the town meeting to observe a brief moment of silence in memory of William F. Norse, who was the town council of Medfield in 1959, the town moderator in 1973, a selectman from 1985 to 1988. Leo J. Surratt was on the Medfield State Hospital Community Advisory Board from 1993 to 2003, was on the Town Bylaw Review Committee from 1994 to 1995, Medfield State Hospital Reuse Committee from 1997 to 2008, Medfield Housing Authority from 2006 and 2000 to 2008. And also we called him a lion as well, I guess, for Leo. For Austin Buck Buchanan, Civil Defense Director from 1959 to 1973, a selectman from 1959 to 1967, the Town Garage Study Committee from 71 to 1972, keeper of the town clock from 1972 to 1999, and he was on the American with Disabilities Compliance Committee from 1992 to 2000. So for all of those folks and for all of your friends and neighbors who have passed away in the 12 months since our last annual town meeting, let's pause to remember. Okay, thank you. Okay, you may be seated. Okay, now the introductions of our town officials on the stage. First, I have the honor of introducing our town clerk, my partner in orchestrating the town meeting, Carol Mayer. I also have the honor of pointing out the deputy moderator who controls the floor, Conrad J. Bletzer. And I would ask, consistent with our tradition, the chairman of the Board of Selectmen to introduce the executive branch of our town government.
Thank you very much, Mr. Moderator. To my far left, we have Evelyn Clark, Administrative Assistant to the Board of Selectmen and the Town Administrator. Evelyn's been with the town for 28 years. To her right is Christine Trierweiler, the Assistant Town Administrator for the town. She's also been with Medfield for 17 years. To my immediate left is Michael Sullivan, Town Administrator. Michael has just finished his 41st year serving the town of Medfield. Yeah, we believe he is the longest-serving town administrator in the amongst the 351 cities and towns in Massachusetts. To my immediate right is Ostler Pete Peterson, our senior selectman. Pete is starting his 17th year as selectman in the town, and to Pete's right is our newest member, Michael Marcucci, our newest selectman, just elected this last March. He's completing his 28th day of service to the town. And he is a transfer from the Warrant Committee. You've seen him up here the last few years. And last but not least, to our far right is Mark Sorrell, Town Council for the town of Medfield. Mark has been serving the town for 15 years. Thank you very much.
Great, thank you. And to my left, I'd ask Martha Fester, as chairwoman of the Warrant Committee, to introduce her committee.
Thank you, Mr. Moderator. To my far left is Jack Wolf. He's our newest member who joined this year. Then we have Barbara Gibbs, Nick Athanasiadis, Rob Skloff, Sharon Tatro, Greg Sullivan, and Tom Marie.
Okay, at this time I will make a motion to permit non-voting participants to sit within the town meeting and to speak to the community as requested. We reserve a special visitors section for this meeting, so welcome to all of our visitors. I would ask Evelyn Clark, the Administrative Secretary to the Board of Selectmen, to read the names.
Okay, thank you. Jeffrey Marston, Superintendent of Schools. Kenneth Feeney, Superintendent, Public Works. Christine Trierweiler, Assistant Town Administrator. Mark Sorrell, Town Council. Joy Ricciuto, Town Accountant. Yvonne Remillard, Principal Assessor. John Naff, Building Commissioner. Sarah Raposa, Town Planner. Roberta Lynch, Council on Aging Director. Kristen Chin, Library Director. Kevin Ryder, Park and Recreation Director. Rachel Brown, Member of the Personnel Board. Andrew Seaman, Energy Facilities Manager. And also Andrew Chagnon, he's from the Pear Corporation, designer for the high school fields and track, and Arthur Eddy, landscape architect.
Okay, we welcome you all. Thank you very much for being here, and thanks for your service to the town. I move that non-voting guests sitting in the visitor section be permitted to sit within our town meeting and to speak to the community as requested. All in favor, please say aye. Aye. Opposed? The motion carries. Our meeting guidelines are set forth in pages 1 through 4 of the report on the warrant. So I'm going to dispense with the reading of the full set of the guidelines. Reference anytime we have 43 articles on our agenda tonight is to the discretionary time limits. It's the hardest part of this job in balancing open and full and fair dialogue with the need for expedience and dispatch. Since we have 43 articles to consider tonight, expedience could often be a prevailing force. In terms of the order, groupings, and linkages of the articles that appear in your report, we will initially take up the consent calendar, followed by certain regular articles having to do with personnel matters and more routine business matters of the town. These will include Articles 13, 14, and 15, and Articles 24, 25, and 26. We will then go to the lottery, and we will pull the remainder of the articles in order. If Articles 19 and 20 come up, we will consider those together. They will be linked. These are articles that discuss capital plans and master plans. If Articles 30, 31, or 32 are pulled, these are the articles addressing issues relative to the former state hospital. We will consider Articles 30, 31, and 32 together. Our report on the warrant of the annual town meeting is an important document for our deliberation and for the legislation that we create today. I'd like to not only direct your attention to the first 4 pages where the guidelines appear. I have a paragraph in my report here, the 3rd paragraph. It says that this is an important time for Medfield. Change does not come in straight line. We are in a period of transformation. The current and future change in key personnel and contributors, the growth and development of town facilities, the opportunity that ownership provides us at the, what I call Medfield on the Charles, but the former state hospital site, and the general evolution and expectation of all factors in transformative times. So I just say to everybody, thank you for all of you who have been paying attention to a lot of very key issues in town. This is a very important time for the town and an important time for us to have an open dialogue tonight, clear thinking, and good planning. So with that said, I would just turn to prefatory remarks. There are prefatory remarks that give you a really good grounding in the finances of the town. There's a review of the town finances by the Board of Selectmen that begins on page 10, and various expenditures, appropriations, and revenue that impact on debt are disclosed on pages 16 and 17. And for those of you who like to keep score, in the final 3 pages, there's an index for you to keep score. So we now ask for remarks. Do we have remarks from the chairwoman of the Warrant Committee?
Yes, thank you. Mike Marcucci actually chaired the Warrant Committee until 28 days ago when he became our newest selectman, and I have a whole new appreciation for his role now that I've had a chance to walk in his shoes. Thank you, Mike, for all you've done as a member and leader of this committee. So I urge you to read the full remarks in the warrant booklet, but I'm just going to give a few highlights here. For the 6th straight year, the Warrant Committee is recommending a budget that will not require a Proposition 2.5 override. This is a challenge, as fixed costs, health insurance premiums, and unfunded mandates increase at more than 2.5% per year. However, town departments are increasingly working together to share resources to achieve the same level of service at a lower cost to Medfield's taxpayers. In addition, the town has begun to address its large long-term OPEB deficit. OPEB, or other post-employment benefits, are primarily retiree health care commitments, and discipline in making contributions to the OPEB trust fund is necessary to protect Medfield's long-term financial position. This year, the town is paying more than $500,000 to own, care for, and plan for Medfield State Hospital's future. The town also faces long-term financial risk as the buildings deteriorate. So resolving the future of the Medfield State Hospital site is critical to help the town address other pending needs and develop a long-term financial plan. Another key point, in Medfield, about 95% of our property taxes come from individual homeowners, and when taxes go up, it's especially hard on those living with fixed incomes. Diversifying the tax base is a challenge we continue to try to address, but it's necessary to help the long-term residents to affordably remain in our town, so we need to keep working on this. But despite the challenges, Medfield continues to be a great place to live. The town finances are conservatively managed. The school committee, police, and fire have all reached collective bargaining agreements in the last year. And we've made progress on OPEB, and hopefully the Medfield State Hospital will be resolved in a way that reduces the burden on the town finances. I urge you to continue reading Mike's remarks in the book, commenting on the many contributions of the individual warrant committee members. This group respects the diverse range of skills and perspectives of our members and works cohesively to evaluate and recommend a balanced and responsible town budget every year. I'd like to give a nod of thanks to Greg Sullivan, who's completing his 6th and final year on the warrant committee this year. Thank you. Our committee has the privilege of working closely with many other dedicated town volunteers and employees. There are bound to be occasional disagreements among our citizens. That's important to get to the best outcome. But I'm proud to be a member of this town and this committee that works selflessly in the best interest of our community and our home. Thank you to the volunteers and the dedicated town officials and all the employees. And thank you to you citizens who have come out tonight to attend town meeting and contribute to the constructive democracy of our town. Thank you.
Thank you. Well, thank you, Martha, and thanks for stepping up 28 days ago. And for our town administrator, Michael, do you have some remarks?
Thank you, Mr. Moderator. The finance remarks in the warrant report will give you a good background on what we're considering this year. I just wanted to highlight a couple of things. That's on page 15, by the way. There have been a few changes since this went to print a couple of weeks ago. In fact, there was a change at about 5 o'clock tonight, so it's hot off the press. The tax levy this year is up about 1.1 million. If you subtract from that the new growth, which is for new construction, and unless you've built an addition on your house or built a new house, it doesn't affect your tax bill. So if you subtract that 350,000 from the 1.1 million, you come out with an increase in the tax levy if you act on the recommendations that the warrant committee is making to you tonight of 750,000. That translates to an increase of about 1.8% on the tax levy. It's below the 2.5%. Part of the reason it's below the 2.5% is this current year that we're now in, several of the debt issues for town capital projects are being paid off. They were voted as debt exclusions. When that debt exclusion is paid off, it disappears from the tax levy. It does not become a permanent part. So your tax bill, all other things being equal, and of course with yearly reval, it's never equal. Some people do better, some people do worse. But all things being equal, your tax bill should see about a 1.8% increase next year. That's a far cry and a welcome relief from the 8% that we suffered this past year in order to pay for the bond issue on the public safety building. So we're in pretty good shape. I think if you turn to page 17, it'll give you a good history of what's been happening to our debt. As you can see, the town accountant has been preparing this list from back to 1994. As you can see, back in 94, we were practically debt-free. We took a huge leap up in 2003, we're up to 67 million. That's principal only. That does not include interest. And gradually it's been going down until the last couple of years when we had the town garage, the public safety building, the purchase of the state hospital, the purchase of Redgate Farm, the solar array at the wastewater treatment plant. So we have had several items that we have picked up, as well as the debt issues we paid off. It's interesting, I was looking at this, and the debt principal and interest payments, if you look on that page 15, is about $6.8 million. That's the annual debt service payments. Back in 1994, the entire outstanding principal was only $7.5 million. So we've come a long way. The good news is we are addressing our capital needs. We've got most of our big building projects done, and by the time we do the come to a new elementary school, which they tell me we're going to need in a few years, we will have paid down that $54 million. We're paying down about $5 million a year. So in 4 years, we will have paid down $20 million, and we'll be back at the lower end of the range that we've been at. So I think we're in pretty good shape financially. I hope that you will see somewhat of a relief this year from the increase you saw last year. And I would like to thank all the department heads and the warrant committee for all the hard work they put in to arrive at these levels. Thank you.
Thank you. Okay, I now make a procedural motion to permit more than one speaker per article and to allow for the extension of time for discussion at the moderator's discretion. All in favor, please say aye. Aye. Opposed? The motion carries. And now we move to our consent calendar. The consent calendar is a function that is able to allow us to drive expediency, efficiency, and deliberate dispatch by acting upon certain articles as a group. For reference, you can see the criteria for articles finding their way into the consent calendar on pages 18 and 19 on the report of the warrant. I will now identify the articles to be placed on the 2016 consent calendar. And as I read the brief synopsis, if you would like to further discuss any of these articles, please signify by saying hold. If an article is held, the subject article will be placed back into the lottery system. For passage, Article 2, to accept the report of town officers. Article 3, to accept the Perpetual Trust Funds for the care of the Vine Lake Cemetery. Article 4, to reauthorize the Fire Alarm Revolving Fund. Article 5, to reauthorize the Ambulance Revolving Fund. Article 6, to reauthorize the Advanced Life Support Revolving Fund. Article 7, to reauthorize the Community Gardens Revolving Fund. Article 8, to reauthorize the Rental Income Revolving Fund. Article 9, to reauthorize the Library Revolving Fund. Article 10, to reauthorize the Respite Care Revolving Fund. Article 11, to authorize Transfer Station and Recycling Swap Area Fund under Chapter 44, Section 53E and a half of the General Laws. Article 12, to accept General Laws, Chapter 59, Section 5, Clause 41A, increasing gross receipts for seniors to qualify for circuit breakers in the state under the state income tax credit. Article 22, to appropriate public safety bond premiums, to rescind bond authorization, and to appropriate fiscal year 16 interest costs. Article 23, to rescind unused bond authorization for the solar array. And on the consent calendar for dismissal, Article 29, to appropriate funds for preliminary plans and cost estimates for addition to the center at Medfield, and Article 37, to appropriate funds for the U.S.E.P.A. discharge permit applications and studies. I will now offer a motion that Articles 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 22, and 23 be passed as printed in the warrant, and that Articles 29 and 37 be dismissed. Do I have a second? Seconded. Okay, all in favor say aye. Aye. Opposed? Okay, I declare that the consent calendar passes by the required majority. We're now going to do 6 articles of business housekeeping and get them out of the way. We're going to start with Article 13. Article 13 is an article to appropriate funds to pay a prior year bill for a police injured on-duty medical bill. You can find the article on page 25. The Warrant Committee recommends passage, and this is offered by the Police Department. It does require a 4/5 bill because we see a 4/5 vote because we are paying a bill from the prior fiscal year. And Warrant Committee, Barbara Gibbs, do you have a motion?
Yes. Move that the town appropriate $684, said sum to be raised on the fiscal 17 tax levy for the purpose of paying 2 fiscal year 15 unpaid medical bills of the Police Department in the amounts of $701 and $163. The Warrant Committee recommends passage of this article.
And do you have a report?
No.
No report. Okay. Okay, the number is 864, right, on the bill?
864.
864. Yeah. Any questions or comments on this article? If there are none, we'll put it to a vote. All in favor, please say aye. Aye. Opposed? I declare it passes by the 4/5 required by state statute. Article 14. Article 14 is an article to fix the salary and compensation of elected officials. You can find it on page 26 of the warrant report. It is offered by the Board of Selectmen. And Warrant Committee Member Greg Sullivan, do you have a motion?
I do. Article 14, move that the town fix the salary and compensation of elected officials as set out in the warrant report. The Warrant Committee recommends passage.
Do you have a report?
I do not.
Okay. Any questions on this article? If there are none, we'll put it to a vote. All in favor, please say aye. Aye. We had a question.
My name is Mark Green on Rhododendron Ave. I had a question about the salary of the town administrator. I don't know if it was a misprint or not, but it looked like $929,000 for town administrator salaries.
Exactly.
Can I get a little breakdown on that?
That's the 40-year bonus.
Oh, all right. So now I know why he doesn't want to retire.
That's what they call that, your money. When they freak out.
35?
I can answer that. I wish that were my salary. But the town administrator budget includes the salaries of most of the clerical positions in town hall. So that includes the salaries of about 15 people.
And those 15 people average what for salaries?
I'd say probably about 38,000, 42,000, something like that in that area. Yeah.
Okay, wait a minute. 15 people. I'm not that fast with math without my phone.
Further questions? Okay, if there aren't any further questions, we'll put that to a vote. Okay, we're looking at Article 14, fixing salary and compensation. Just requires a simple majority. All in favor, please say aye. Aye. Opposed? The article carries. Article 15. Article 15 is an article to amend the Personnel Administration Plan classification of positions and pay schedule as set out in the warrant. You can find this on page 27 of the warrant report. And Warrant Committee Member Sharon Tatro, do you have a motion?
Move that the town amend the Personnel Administration Plan and classification of positions and pay schedule effective July 1st, 2016 as set out in the warrant, except that the following schedules for the fire department be changed as follows. There was a handout out front that I'm going to read through. If you missed it, it's changing 2 of the tables on page 28. The table that had originally read fire department as per contract, and then there's a table that says lieutenant firefighter EMT. That table is changing to only lieutenant EMT. An additional year has been added. So the first row should read July 1st, 2013. Step 1 should be 24.08. Step 2, 24.84. Step 3, 25.59. That was step 3. Step 4, 26.39. Step 5, 27.2. Step 6, 28.05. The next row will read July 1st, 2014, Step 1, 27.2, Step 2, 28.01, Step 3, 28.71. Step 4, 29.43. Step 5, 30.31. Step 6, 31.22. The next two rows will be July 1st, 2015 and July 1st, 2016. The numbers in the steps are exactly as I had just read for 2014. There was no increase in those years. The next table down reads firefighter EMT. In the booklet, it stays that same title. There is an additional row added, July 1st, 2013. Step 1, 21.76. Step 2, 22.43. Step 3, 23.07. Step 4, 23.79. Step 5, 24.49. Step 6, 25.25. And then there's two additional steps added at 25.98, and step 8 is 26.75. The next row for July 1st, 2014, the numbers remain the same for steps 1 through 6 as printed in the warrant. Step 7 is 26.9. Step 8 is 27.69. For the next row, July 1st, 2015, the numbers remain the same for steps 1 through 6 as printed in the warrant. Step 7 is now 27.44, and step 8 is 28.25. The last row for July 1st, 2016, the numbers remain the same for the first 6 steps as printed in the warrant, and step 7 is 27.98, and step 8 is 28.81. The warrant committee recommends passage as I just amended.
Okay. And any report?
Yes, there is a report. At the 2013 town meeting, a comprehensive reclassification study was approved to ensure that the salaries of town employees were aligned correctly in the marketplace. The results of that study are being finalized, and the town will soon be rolling out a new compensation grade structure, as well as policies to ensure the salaries are appropriately positioned within the corresponding pay grades. The warrant committee understands that this process will be completed in the upcoming fiscal year and recommends passage of this article.
Okay, are there any questions or comments regarding Article 15? Article 15 requires just a simple majority to be passed. If there are no questions, I'll put it to a vote. It's the motion as it appeared, except for the exceptions read by Sharon Tatro. All in favor, please say aye. Aye. Opposed? No. Okay, those are our personnel issues. When Mr. Green approached the microphone, I thought he was going to come to amend the moderator's salary. I've been waiting for that for a bit, but it just stays the same. Okay. Article 24. Article 24 is an article to appropriate and transfer funds to build a solar array at Town Garage in the Public Safety Building. You can find the article on page 53 of the warrant report. It's offered by the Medfield Energy Committee, and Warrant Committee member Greg Sullivan has a motion.
Article 24, move that the town transfer $240,000 from the unexpected balance of funds appropriated under Article 2 of the March 23rd, 2015 special town meeting, said funds to be used for the purpose of designing and constructing a solar voltaic array on the roof of the town garage located at 55 North Meadows Road.
Okay, do you have a report?
I do. We do. Article 24. The Warrant Committee supports passage of Article 24. This is a straightforward request to apply unused funds from the completed solar array project at the wastewater treatment facility to the other town solar projects. Related to Article 24, the Warrant Committee also supports a last-minute addition of $150,000 to the FY17 budget to be combined with the excess $240,000 for a rooftop solar array at the town garage town garage. Funding was not requested for this installation until it was announced on April 8th that the Solar Renewable Energy Credits, the SREC program, would be extended for projects completed by January 8th of 2017. This makes it prudent to move forward now. These credits, which may not be available in the future, amount to over $400,000 paid over 10 years, which is the approximate cost of the solar installation. Reduced utility cost and SREC credits resulting from this project combined for over $1 million of savings over the 20-year life. The payback on the incremental $150,000 is just under 2 years, and the net present value of the project is almost $480,000. The Energy Committee is also investigating a purchase price agreement where the solar installation would be owned and operated by an outside company. However, ownership maximizes savings to the town. Maintenance costs are low and have been factored into the financial analysis. Risk to the town is managed with insurance coverage and a service contract. Medfield owns this solar array at the wastewater treatment plant and anticipates owning a future array at the new public safety building. The Warrant Committee supports passage of Article 24 as well as the incremental increase investment of $150,000 for the rooftop solar installation at the town garage. The warrant recommends passage.
Okay. Any further comments? Mr. Peterson?
Thank you, Mr. Moderator. The Selectmen also unanimously support this article. The payback is very quick on this, and fortunately we have a way of getting the full funds between the transfer of the monies from the savings that were left over from the wastewater treatment plant and the amendment that's going to give us another $150,000 to complete the installation at the town garage. The garage was designed with solar on the roof into the plan, so the building is basically ready for it.
Any other questions or comments? If there are none, we will put Article 24 to a vote. Requires just a simple majority for passage. All in favor, please say aye. Aye. Opposed? Deem it passes. Article 25. Article 25 is an article to appropriate sewer betterments paid in advance into the Stabilization Fund. It appears on page 54 of the warrant report. It was offered by the town accountant and requires a 2/3 vote for passage. And Warrant Committee Member Tom Marie, do you have a motion?
Yes. Article 25. Move that the town transfer $135,469 from sewer betterments paid in advance account to the Sewer Stabilization Fund, account number 80-030, established under Article 31 of the 2004 Annual Town Meeting in accordance with the provisions of General Laws, Chapter 40, Section 5B, as amended by Chapter 46 of the Acts of 2003.
And do you have a report?
There's no report. The Warrant Committee recommends passage.
Okay, requires a 2/3 vote. So any comments from the panel up here? If not, any questions or comments from the floor? Being no questions or comments, we'll put this to a vote. Requires 2/3. All in favor, please say aye. Aye. Opposed? I deem it passes by the required 2/3 majority. Article 26. Article 26 is an article to appropriate funds to what we call the Other Post-Employment Benefits Trust, OPEB. You can find the warrant article on page 54. It's offered by the town administrator. It also takes a 2/3 vote for passage. And Warrant Committee Member Sharon Tatro, do you have a motion?
Yes. Article 26, move that the town appropriate $400,000 and to meet said sum, transfer $37,499 from the FY16 County Retirement Contribution Budget, account 01-911-2. Transfer $200,000 from free cash. Transfer $7,154 from the Water Enterprise Fund. Transfer $33,400 from the Sewer Enterprise Fund, and raise $121,947 on the FY17 tax levy. Said appropriation to be deposited in the Town of Medfield Other Post-Employment Benefits Trust, otherwise known as the OPEB Trust, for the purpose of setting aside monies to cover the unfunded retiree health insurance costs, and further to transfer $45,650.76, the balance of funds in the unfunded retiree health insurance stabilization fund as of March 31st, 2016, to the said OPEB Trust.
Thank you. And do you have a report?
No report. The Warrant Committee recommends passage.
Okay. Any questions or comments on Article 26? Requires a 2/3 majority in order to pass. All in favor, please say aye. Aye. Opposed? Declare it passes by the required 2/3 majority. See, this isn't that hard. We just went through 22 of the 43 articles. Okay, now we go to our lottery. First article is Article 27. Article 27 is an article to appropriate funds for South Street and/or the West Street traffic improvements. You can find it on page 55 of the warrant report. I understand we do not have a positive motion from the warrant committee, so we would be looking for a positive motion for the floor or a motion to dismiss from the warrant committee.
I don't have a positive motion. I agree with the one.
I need you to introduce yourself.
I apologize. Richard DeSaga, 13 Lawrence Circle. Thank you, Mr. Moderator. I have no issue with the warrant committee or with the Board of Selectmen on this, but just a little background information. Last year, we appropriated $10,000 to have the traffic study, and I was the one who made that motion, and I said, if you're not going to be in favor of the $10,000 now and then, whatever the amount's going to be for the traffic light, please defeat it now. It doesn't make sense to spend $10,000 for a study and then not have the lights. Well, we did have the study, and the study did recommend that the traffic lights go in. However, we have some issues on the new layout and wetlands that are in there that are going to have to come up. We're not ready for that now. I just want to make sure that the warrant committee and the Board of Selectmen keep this on the front burner so that next year we come back, we can actually vote on this. Thank you.
Thank you for your remarks. Okay, I'm going to put a motion to dismiss out there. This would just require a simple majority. So I move that we dismiss Article 27 as printed in the warrant. All in favor, please say aye. Aye. Opposed? The motion carries. Next article is Article 35. Article 35 is an article to appropriate funds for the design of an iron manganese treatment facility. The article is on page 59 of the warrant report. The warrant committee recommends passage. It was offered by the Water and Sewer Board. And warrant committee, Tom Marie, do you have a motion?
Yes. Article 35, move that the town appropriate $150,000. Said sum to be transferred from the Water Enterprise Fund, unreserved fund balance for the purpose of conducting studies and designing an iron manganese treatment facility for wells 3, 4, and/or 5 of the town's water supply system. We do not have a report. The warrant committee recommends passage.
Okay. And do we have a report from the Water and Sewer Committee? Anybody here from the Water and Sewer Committee that wants to? Don't need one? Right. If not, okay, we'll put that motion to a vote. Article 35 requires just a simple majority. All in favor, please say aye. Aye. Opposed? I deem that the motion carries by a majority. Next article is Article 28. Article 28 is article to appropriate funds for preliminary plans and cost estimates for the park and recreation facility. The article can be found on page 56 of the warrant report. It was offered by the Park and Recreation Committee, and warrant committee Jack Wolf has a motion.
Move that the town appropriate $60,000, said sum to be transferred from the Park and Recreation Revolving Fund, account 31-004, for the purpose of preparing a programmatic and financial needs analysis for a park and recreation facility. Said funds to be expended under the jurisdiction of the Park and Recreation Commission.
Do you have a motion? A report.
We do. The warrant committee fully appreciates the facilities limitations of the Medfield Park and Recreation Commission's current FAF building. However, after discussion, the need for any new facility will be driven by the future market acceptance of the various current and future programs offered by Medfield's Park and Recreation Commission. To determine that market acceptance, a programmatic and financial needs feasibility study requires undertaking. In addition, any and all new building considerations need to be reviewed and approved by the Medfield Permanent Planning and Building Committee. The Medfield Park and Recreation Commission has estimated the cost of such a programmatic and financial needs feasibility study at $60,000 and will provide those funds from the Medfield Park and Recreation Revolving Fund, and thus there will be no current impact on the tax rate. The Warrant Committee recommends passage.
Okay, any questions or comments on Article 28? Microphone number 1.
Jerry Kazandjian, 77 Grant Street. Just a quick question. If and when we get a new park and recreation building, what happens to the FAF Center? Do we have plans for that building?
Probably a stick of dynamite. I assume, given the condition and the associated problems with asbestos and water issues in the basement, it would probably be demolished. And I think it would probably be incorporated into the Dale Street school property, whatever's going to happen to that particular building. That's another issue for the future also, because I think the school department's intention is to move out of Dale Street. So questions, not only what will happen with the FAF Center, but what will happen with the FAF Center and the Dale Street School. So.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
Alice Wheeler, 20 Cross Street, and I just think it would be wonderful if they built their new building at the top of the sledding hill and were able to have like a, big money-making thing to bring other people into the town. So that was just my thought.
Thank you. Okay, we're going to put a vote to that, to the motion offered by Mr. Wolf that the town appropriates $60,000 and that sum be transferred to the Park and Recreation Commission. This does not require a two-thirds vote, simple majority vote. All in favor, please say aye. Aye. Opposed? I deem that the motion carries by the required majority. Next article is Article 39. Article 39, found on page 61 of the warrant report, offered by the Board of Selectmen, is an article to accept Rockwood Road, a portion of Erik Rd, and a portion of Quarry Rd as public ways. It does require a two-thirds vote. And Warrant Committee member Nick Athanasiadis, do you have a motion for us?
Sure. Move that the town accept as public ways all or a portion of the following streets. Rockwood Road from station 0+0 to station 4+97.81. Quarry Road from station 8+88 to 0.09 to station 16+97.87. Erik Rd from station 0+00.00 to station 9+00.00. Is laid out by the Board of Selectmen and is shown on the plan referred to in the order of layout on file with the town clerk's office, and authorize the Board of Selectmen to acquire the eminent domain or otherwise such rights, titles, and easements, including drainage easements, as may be necessary to accomplish such purposes.
Okay, and do you have a report?
No, we do not.
There's no report. Article 39. Questions? Microphone number 2.
Yes, my name is Linda Kimball. I live at 23 Cheney Pond Road, and I want to just ask a question, I guess, starting with, does that, where Erik Rd and a portion of Quarry Rd, does that mean that from that end of town, it will allow traffic to flow through to Vinebrook, Hatters Hill, Cheney Pond, and Pederzini? Right now, it doesn't.
Are you referring to the gate that's presently in place?
Yes.
My understanding of the intention is that that gate will remain closed and will only be accessible for emergency vehicles. It will not be open for public.
I'm sorry. So making those roads a public way will not change that gate?
No, correct.
Okay. Thank you.
The other thing, while I got the microphone, is some people may want to know what a station is. A station is 100 feet. So if you're curious about that.
Steve Dragatakis, 18 Hillcrest Road. I have a question on the Erik Rd plan plot and why is the easement not indicated on it? And if it is not indicated on it, I would put forth that we dismiss acceptance of Erik Rd. That would be the trail easement is not adequately identified.
Mr. Sorrell?
I have reviewed the plans. I'm aware of the fact that there is a pedestrian easement and some other corrections that need to be made on the plans. I've been in communication with the attorney for the developer, and those will be addressed before the documents go to record. If you accept the streets tonight, then the selectmen have 120 days to work out the fine points and obtain deeds and easements from the developers, which will go to record with the appropriate plans with that information.
Follow-up, do we have a commitment from the selectmen to pursue and execute within 120 days to ensure that the trails are open?
The entire process has to take place within 120 days. It's not piecemeal. It's an all or nothing. So we'll get an appropriate deed of the ways themselves, the roads, as well as related easements, and in some cases there may actually be some drainage lot title as well. But the pedestrian easement needs to be defined on the plan. That's one of the things that the planning board required.
Would the selectmen speak to that, please?
I guess my question, Mark, would be that there's no question that we're going to have the pedestrian easement.
You'll need to prepare. You'll need to sign an acceptance once we get those documents. So you will have the authority. If for some reason the developer submitted documents that were not sufficient for our purposes, to say no, we don't accept these.
Thank you.
Thank you for your comments. Okay, we go back to the motion that was offered on Article 39. Any other questions and comments? Requires a 2/3 vote of passage. All in favor, please say aye. Aye. Opposed? I declare it passes by the required 2/3 majority. Article 41. Article 41 is an article to amend the zoning bylaws, tables, and use regulations regarding certain assisted living facilities. It can be found on page 62 of the warrant report. It was offered by the Board of Selectmen, and we have a motion from Warrant Committee member Sharon Tatro.
Move that the town amend the Code of the Town of Medfield, Part 2, General Legislation, Chapter 300 Zoning, Article 5, Section 300-5.4, Table of Use Regulations. I'm going to read the tables out loud for everyone, but you can feel free to follow in the warrant. Section 2, Public, Semi-Public Institution. 2.8, Hospital, Convalescent, Nursing Home, Hospice, Continuing Care, or Assisted Living. In A, no. RE, no. RT, no. RS, SP, RU, SP. B, SP, BI, SP, IE, SP. And SP stands for special permit. By striking SP in the RS district and replacing it with no in the RS district. And Section 4, Commercial Business. 4.10, Hospice or nursing homes, convalescent and assisted living facilities, and medical and dental offices. A, no. RE, no. RT, no. RS, SP, RU, SP, B, SP, BI, SP, IE, SP. By striking SP in the RS district and replacing it with no in the RS district.
Okay, do we have a report?
Yes. The warrant committee is in agreement that the warrant article changes to the table of use regulations of Medfield zoning bylaws during the 2012 annual town meeting were not as clear as they could have been. The previous 2012 changes were intended to modernize the zoning bylaws by replacing antiquated land use language to a more modern land use language. This article allows the town to get a second chance to review the table of use regulations and make changes that many feel are required. Because of the planning board's work and discussions with the public, the Planning Board developed the appropriate revisions to the zoning bylaws without reverting back to the original antiquated language of the 2012 zoning bylaws. These changes to the zoning bylaw will now no longer allow hospitals, convalescent facilities, nursing homes, hospice facilities, continuing care facilities, nor assisted living facilities in the RS, residential suburban districts, as either a nonprofit or a for-profit entity. These types of facilities will continue to be allowed in the RU, B, BI, or IE districts under special permit, with all of the town agency and public review processes required for this designation. The Warrant Committee believes that these changes to the zoning bylaws make sense for the large parts of town in the RS district with larger pieces of property that could be developed with larger buildings on the larger parcels of land. The Warrant Committee also still believes that these special uses should still have a place in Medfield, and that through the special permit process, these types of projects will receive the proper vetting process for locating such projects in the zoning districts, these zoning districts that can more accommodate these uses. To further clarify, the Warrant Committee did not review nor consider this article as to whether these changes to the zoning bylaws will affect the present assisted living facility proposed to be located on Main Street behind the Peak House and Clark Tavern. The Warrant Committee reviewed the zoning bylaw changes on its own merits. Any effects these zoning changes may or may not have on the present assisted living facility proposal were unknown to the Warrant Committee at the time of our vote. The Warrant Committee recommends passage.
Thank you. We need a report from the Planning Board. Do we remember the Planning Board?
Thank you, Mr. Moderator. I'm Keith Diggins, 116 Phillips Street, and member of the Planning Board. Pursuant to the provisions of MGL Chapter 40A, Section 5, as amended, the Medfield Planning Board held a series of public hearings on March 7th, March 14th, and April 12th at the Townhouse to consider amending the zoning bylaw as set out in Article 41 and as proposed by the Board of Selectmen. The public hearing was duly posted and advertised in the Medfield Press on February 19th and February 26, 2016. Several residents offered comments, and the Planning Board suggested this proposed language, which the Selectmen accepted to place in the warrant. The Planning Board voted unanimously to recommend passage of Article 41 with one abstention. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you. Okay, so as we consider this article, just quick guidance that reference at a microphone is about the article and the proposal to amend the zoning bylaws, not about any specific facility, developer, or property. And secondly, we're going to use microphone number 2 first. Is there anybody who's opposed to this article? If you want to step up to Article 2 and make a comment. I know there's a lot of people in favor, so I'm showing no opposition.
Good evening, Bill Graham, 38 Cypress Street. I just have a question. I understand we're not debating any particular project, but given what's going on in town, can you tell me the RS district, does that include the property that's been discussed?
Mr. Stroh? It does.
Yes, it does.
We think it does.
Mr. Diggins? Wait, for questions, you want to stay with us, Keith, here for a second?
Lester Starr, Legislature Road. I'm a little confused here. I thought the big issue that we were talking about is that this one article that was passed 2 years ago, there were insufficient information presented to the voting public specifying or explaining what was going on. Okay, now if I look at this, what's in this warrant booklet, it doesn't explain anything, okay? There's no definition of what RT, RS, RU is. There's no definition about what the impact is on the zoning. There's nothing. And now you're asking us to vote on it and approve it, and we don't have any information. I move that we table this. We get information, we get the whole picture, so we aren't back here doing this again next year.
Okay, is there a second to the motion to table it? Second. Okay, we're going to put the motion to a vote. Okay, this motion is about whether we would table this article, and therefore this article would be rejected. And this would just take a simple majority. So all in favor of the motion to put aside Article 41 tonight, please say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Okay, I'm going to deem that the motion does not carry. Any other opposition? Okay, we'll take some comments in favor, and then we'll put this to a vote. Article number one, microphone number one.
Eileen Murphy, Metacomet Street. It's more of a question. It's not really in favor or not in favor. It's knowing that the LCB is already in discussions with the town. Does this vote what they're doing, is it grandfathered? So no matter what we vote, since we're already active with the town, it wouldn't impact where we are?
Well, first of all, relative to the guidance, we're not addressing, as a member to try to determine and lay out all of the consequences intended and unintended around this, I think would be impossible to do. If we wanted to kind of generalize that question, I don't know if anybody has a thought or a comment. Mr. Sorrell?
The procedures for amending zoning, the statute does provide that applicants who have pending applications for special permits may obtain protection by taking certain actions. Two of those are for filing a preliminary subdivision plan to be followed by a definitive plan, or to file what's called an A&R, approval not required plan. Either of those provide for exemptions from changes, and it is my understanding that the pending matter, the applicant did take advantage of that, of one of those statutory procedures.
Okay. Another question? Comment?
Yes. David Stevenson, 335 Main Street. 20 years ago, I was privileged to serve on the board of directors of 1,000 Friends of Massachusetts, a group founded by Paul Tsongas, and the only group in the state that really concerned itself with good statewide land use planning. And in that work, I became familiar with how dangerous it is when you don't have good, well-defined, and dynamic land use planning processes, and specifically as they apply to zoning. And I think the one thing, putting aside the current situation, that bothered me a great deal, that, I understand in the abstract the need to change the zoning bylaws to affect and recognize new types of things, such as, for example, assisted living facilities. But the thing, and we've seen now, how when you have something of that sort where you know, just by the nature of this kind of facility, that it has to be of a certain size in order to be, in this case, profitable, that it is totally out of keeping with an RS district. And I was very dismayed that this ever got, we've got the whole issue of how it actually was done at town meeting in 2012. But the broader issue, it seems to me, is, and I guess I'd offer this as a challenge to the planning board going forward, that it seems as if there never should have been ever any consideration of something of that size in an RS district. So I just hope that going forward, the planning board will look very, very seriously at the long-term impacts, and particularly when you get incompatible land uses in a given type of district, and to think long and hard about that kind of thing, and not just simply rubber stamping something because it would bring things in conformity with new uses. It really requires more than that, I think. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. Microphone number 2.
David Berger, 154 Granite Street. In lieu of tabling the motion, could we at least get a 30-second description of RUBBIIE, or a general description of where in Medfield that would be? Is it other than Hospital Hill and Main Street?
Sure.
Well, not Main Street, yeah.
Okay, Keith, can you do that? Do you need a map?
I need a map, and we can...
Mark, anybody?
Just define what those four are.
I can tell you that the initials, the R's are residential districts, B is business, BI is business intensive, I think, and IE is industrial extensive.
So RU, would that be like residential urban?
Yeah.
Which is probably nowhere in Medfield?
No, the R districts all start, the more dense ones are towards the center of town, and as you move out, they become more rural, if you will. So RS is a transition one, in this case located easterly down around Pound Street and going to the east, and then you transition from there into the more rural.
Okay. But going the other direction where we're leaving it as SP, so RU, would that be like next to Starbucks? Or
RU, the RU district is 12,000, it's a residential district, 12,000 square feet for the first unit, I believe, and 6,000 square feet for each additional unit. And that's generally in the center of town. It generally runs sort of north to south from roughly Brook Street, to North Meadows Road, probably up to around Green Street, down to maybe Curve Street in that area, or maybe not quite that far, but that would be the roughly RU district. The RS district is 20,000 square foot single family residential zone. The RT is a 40,000 square foot residential zone, and the RE is an 80,000 square foot residential zone. And the A is an agricultural. I believe that requires a minimum of 10 acres.
Okay. Thank you.
Okay. Good questions. Microphone number 1.
Yes, Don Cohen, 368 Main Street. I just want to add to what David Stevenson said in that I think everyone who went to the planning board meeting came away with the idea that this issue needs more study, but that in the interim, if we pass this article, this will protect neighborhoods while providing time for a transparent and thorough discussion by the planning board and the community of how best to zone assisted living. And I recommend its passage.
Thank you very much. Okay, we're going to put this article to a vote. This is Article 41. We had a motion. It does require a 2/3 vote for passage. If there are no more questions or comments, we'll put it to a vote. All in favor of the article to amend the zoning bylaws, tables of use regulations, please say aye. Aye. Opposed? Okay, we'll do just a show of hands if I would. All in favor, please raise your hand. Opposed? Okay, and I'm going to deem that it passes by the 2/3 required. Article 40. Article 40 is an article to amend the demolition delay bylaw to establish procedures for the appeals process. This was offered by our Board of Selectmen and the Historic Commission. It can be found on page 62, and Warrant Committee member Rob Skloff has a motion.
Article 40. Move that Article 40 be approved as set out in the warrant report.
Okay. And is there any report?
There is.
Okay.
Once the Historical Commission determines that a structure is historically significant, no demolition permit may be issued for at least 18 months. The owner of any such property can appeal the decision with the Board of Selectmen. In one such instance, the Board of Selectmen allowed the appeal and the building was demolished prior to the 18-month period. However, members of the Historical Commission nor the abutters were aware of the meeting and therefore did not attend. This article seeks to put in place procedures in which the Board of Selectmen will provide written notice to the applicant, the Historical Commission, and immediate abutters and will also provide notice to the public in newspapers. The Warrant Committee recommends passage of this article.
Are there any questions and comments on Article 40? Article 40 requires only a simple majority. If there are no questions or comments, we'll put it to a vote. All in favor, please say aye. Aye. Opposed? Declare that it passes by the majority required. This is Article 34. Article 34 is an article to adopt a stretch zone. It is offered by the Medfield Energy Committee and the Board of Selectmen. The article can be found on page 59 of the warrant report. And we have a motion from a warrant committee member, Greg Sullivan.
Article 34. Move that the town amend the code of the town of Medfield, Chapter 110, Building Construction, by adding article entitled Stretch Energy Code for the purpose of regulating the design and construction of buildings for the effective use of energy pursuant to Appendix 115.AA of the Massachusetts Building Code 780 CMR, the Stretch Energy Code, including future additions, amendments, or modifications thereto, with an effective date of July 1, 2016, a copy of which is on file in the office of the town clerk, and to authorize the town clerk to renumber or take any other action necessary to format this in new bylaw to fit within the codification of the town's existing bylaws.
Okay. And do we have a minority report? Well, we have a majority report first. Minority report? Huh? Yes. Majority report first.
Majority report. The Warrant Committee voted 7-1 in favor of recommending approval of the adoption of the Massachusetts Stretch Energy Code. Medfield's adoption of the Massachusetts Stretch Energy Code is the last of 5 hurdles required by Massachusetts to be designated by the state as a Massachusetts green community. With this designation, the town will qualify for an initial grant of $148,000 that can be used to pay for many energy-related items that would otherwise need to be raised through your property taxes. In following years, with the Green Community designation, the town will be able to apply for grants of similar amounts to pay for other related town projects as may be required. The first energy codes in the United States were developed in the 70s in response to the OPEC oil embargo and energy crisis of that decade. The first energy codes were meant to lessen and try to eliminate United States dependence on foreign energy sources as both a national and economic security issue. The energy codes of today continue on this tradition of U.S. energy independence. The Massachusetts uses the International Energy Conservation Code, IECC, that has also been adopted across the United States. The 2012 IECC is the most recent published version, and the Massachusetts adopted this version as its base energy code in 2014. The present Massachusetts Stretch Energy Code was adopted in 2009 and is applied over the 2009 IECC. The 2012 version of the IECC and the present stretch code are virtually the same, with limited differences between the two. The next Massachusetts Stretch Energy Code will most likely incorporate portions of the 2015 IECC, which is expected to be published later this year. From published reports, the 2015 IECC is easier to understand and apply than the present stretch code. 2015 IECC will also allow for the construction trade-offs for energy conservation that would allow for a more flexible path to code compliance. For residential construction, it would include new performance paths to compliance that are easier for the public to understand and implement than present prescriptive path. Much of the stretch code requirements can be met simply by the use of latest mechanical equipment, lighting, or household appliances that are typically available and purchased today. In short, the new stretch code will not have as much stretch in it as in previous years. The voters should know that the adoption of the Stretch Energy Code would not have any additional effect on the cost of any future town buildings or additions, and not any additional property taxes to the residents. It has been the Permanent Building Committee's objective to design and build the town's new building to meet the Stretch Energy Code as a standard policy. The committee already sees the cost benefits of constructing buildings to this new higher energy standard. The requirements in the stretch code that some found objectionable in the past are no longer an issue, as these costly requirements have since become part of the present base energy code, and now all building projects must meet these requirements regardless. The expected future stretch code will not add significant cost to construction, and most, if not all, of this cost can be offset through rebates, grants, and tax credits for hundreds, if even thousands of dollars through such programs as Mass Save. The adoption of the stretch code does not add to an additional code that the building owners building owners and builders must comply with. It replaces the base energy code. Most builders in the area are currently building Energy Star compliant homes, and most mechanical equipment and appliances purchased today are high efficiency units that would enable new construction to more easily meet any future stretch code requirements. For the homeowner or home purchaser, the requirements found in the energy code and the stretch code help ensure that you will get what you pay for. Many aspects of building construction are hidden and cannot be easily determined if they were installed correctly or will perform as they were supposed to. The use of the stretch code and its requirements will ensure that any addition or new home will perform as promised and as required. Imagine buying a car not knowing if the air conditioner or heater will function properly or even work at all until after you purchase this car and not have any recourse to have it fixed. The energy code requirements are written such that when you build a home, addition, or other building type, that it will perform as intended and will give the owner the benefits it paid for. Since Medfield's last opportunity 2 years ago to vote to adopt the stretch code and be designated a Massachusetts green community, the town of Medfield has lost out on significant amounts of money made available by the state, while still having to adhere to the 2012 base energy code that is essentially the same requirements as the present stretch code. These monies could have been used to fund a number of town projects that were otherwise paid for through our property taxes. By adopting the stretch code and being designated a Massachusetts green community, Medfield can do good and get paid for doing it. The Warrant Committee recommends passage.
Thank you. Ms. Maria, you have a minority report?
Thank you, Mr. Moderator. With attentive and due respect to the widespread support emanating from Andrew Seaman, Fred Bunger, and the Medfield Energy Committee, the Board of Selectmen, and all of my fellow Warrant Committee members for the adoption of the stretch code, perhaps we need to consider a rival position. The creation of the stretch code has created, to some extent, a lack of uniformity in the state's building code. So the initial concern becomes, if we do approve, are we potentially setting a precedent for the Massachusetts Board of Building and Regulations and Standards to promulgate other local option provisions in the future? If we adopt the stretch code, are we further contributing to, in my opinion, a fragmented building regulatory system that might create difficulties and confusion in code enforcement? Next, and perhaps preeminently, is the issue of cost. There is no question that the stretch code will increase the cost of construction. Further complicating matters associated with costs is if we vote to approve the stretch code tonight and subsequently become a designated green community, what other costs will follow? We know, as a fact, the town would need to purchase 4 to 6 new energy-efficient vehicles when that time becomes necessary. What we don't know are the other costs, the unknown unknowns, that will manifest as a result of the requirement, if or when we become a green community, to reduce our energy costs by 20% over the next 5 years. There is also a provision in the Green Communities Act that requires the Commonwealth to adopt each new IECC code that is set by the International Codes Council. Therefore, it is not out of the realm of possibility that new requirements will be put in place and that these new requirements will also come at a cost. In general, and on balance, our town government can take the step to integrating sustainability more easily than each household. But ultimately, the transition expense affects our entire tax base.
Thank you. We're going to have a short presentation now on this issue, and then questions will follow, and any debate, we'll put it to a vote.
Good evening. I'm Fred Bunger, 3 Maple Street. I'm the chair of the Medfield Energy Committee. We've been working for a while. Thank you for the 2 reports. We have our presentation. First of all, the Medfield Energy Committee was formed several years ago to reduce energy use, and we've done that. With the help of the town departments, we've saved over $200,000 a year. We've raised public awareness of energy conservation opportunities. And we've promoted solar energy generation to save money, as you found with the article passed earlier this evening. We have been working for 4 years to qualify Medfield as a Massachusetts Department of Energy green community. The purpose of the Green Communities Act is to encourage energy conservation and renewable energy in Massachusetts towns. There's $10 million of grants available for energy reduction. 155 Massachusetts towns, about 45%, are qualified as green communities. Over $51 million in grants have been disbursed. Medfield would qualify for an initial $148,000 grant and would be eligible for up to $250,000 in competitive grant dollars. Towns, as Greg said, towns must meet 5 criteria: provide siting for renewable energy and enable permitting within 1 year for sites. That was accomplished in 2014 with the passage of the solar bylaw, which we have used now to put solar at the wastewater treatment plant. Number 3, to develop a plan for reducing municipal energy use by 20% over 5 years. That's a work in process by our energy manager, Andrew Seaman, in the nice green tie over there. And this is not an overwhelming challenge. There are lots of opportunities to save energy in the town. Number 4 is to enact an energy efficient vehicle policy, which is done. Now, we heard that that's a burden, but it's like 4 vehicles in the town, and most of the current automobiles meet that. These are, we don't, as the joke was, no, the building commissioner doesn't have to ride around in a pink Prius to make this policy. Number 5 is to minimize the life cycle costs of new construction. Building codes, including energy codes, are updated every 3 years to improve quality, safety, and energy efficiency of new construction. The energy code purpose is to reduce life cycle costs of new construction. Yes, energy efficiency costs more than lack of energy efficiency. But that added investment for energy efficiency is paid off in energy savings. And the IECC and the other organizations that promote energy are very careful to make sure that that added investment is paid off. If you invest in it, put it in your mortgage, pay your mortgage a little higher, your energy bill will be smaller by even more. So yes, it costs more, but you save more. That's the basis of investing. We recommend the adoption of the Stretch Energy Code to meet criteria 5. These are the towns that have adopted the Stretch Code. You'll notice local communities of Millis, Medway, Sherburne, Westwood have adopted the Stretch Energy Code. In terms of having a hodgepodge of building codes, we have that now. When we adopt the Stretch Code, going forward, the Department of Energy Resources is very concerned about the thing that was discussed about concurrence, having competing codes, and they're intent upon eliminating that within the next round. I'm going to skip this slide in case if there are questions later about the Energy Code effect. We'll come back to that. This is the warrant. You've already seen that. It's supported by the Energy Committee, Board of Selectmen, Permanent Building Committee, Warrant Committee, and numerous local civic groups. The 9th edition of the Stretch Energy Code, to be adopted in 2016, requires a home energy rating system for new residential construction. It only applies to new residential buildings, not renovations, not additions. This home energy rating service is actually a benefit to the builder because it's another person to watch out over the work of the subcontractors. In commercial and industrial buildings, there's a 10% energy reduction requirement. So again, 9th edition, Stretch Energy Code does not affect additions or renovations. The next steps. We want to get approval of the Stretch Energy Code here, Article number 34. In August, we'll finalize a 5-year 20% energy conservation plan and present that to the Select Board and the School Committee for passage. In October, we'll apply to the Department of Energy Resources for green community status. January 2017, we become a green community if all goes well, and we collect $148,000. So we recommend you vote yes on Article 34.
Fred, if you don't mind, if there are any questions for the Medfield Energy Committee, now would be the time to ask those questions. You have a question? If there are no questions, any other comments from the floor? If there aren't any, we'll put this article, Article number 34, to a vote. It requires just a simple majority vote. So all those in favor of the motion to adopt the stretch code, please say aye. Aye. Opposed? I'm going to deem that it does pass with the required majority.